Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another very important live video update. Wow, what a huge 24 hours it has been, especially right here in Victoria. I have literally lost track of the number of emails, messages, phone calls that I've received from people, all asking the same question. What the hell happened? Seriously, how does the state's, if not the entire country's, most hated man get voted back in, but not only voted back in, but voted in by a landslide? Are the majority of Victorians really that stupid? Or is there something else going on? Now, as always, I'm a little bit limited to what I can and can't say on these video updates due to the good old Facebook fact checkers. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to throw out a few ideas, and you guys and girls, of course, can just see how they sit with you personally. So, firstly, Andrews himself and the Labor Party that he represents, as well as the media, all admit very openly about how much he's hated. Okay, their very own slogans after winning were hope over hate. Okay, now I do apologise in advance. Some viewers may find the following images very disturbing. I certainly know that I do, but I just want to show you so you can understand that this is what the media is saying. And here's this hope over hate that you can see there. And then we've got another one with hope always defeats hate. So there's no denying that everybody hates him. There's no question about that. It's all very openly admitted. So I know that most people's reactions when they see those headlines is, one of despair or something certainly very similar. But let's not overreact just yet. Okay, let's look a little bit deeper and let's see whether we may be able to make that hope over hate slogan ring true for some other reasons. So if we look back at the results from the federal election earlier this year, what we can see first and foremost is a fairly close result of 58 seats to 77. And again, I'm not sure how well you can see this. You can go and look this form up. But you can see the actual figures down in the column here. So the Liberal National Coalition was 58 and the Australian Labor Party was 77. So they're relatively close. Now, of course, in the previous election, we find that those numbers were even closer. They were, of course, reversed. The Liberal National Coalition was 77. The Australian Labor Party was 68. But the point is that the results were relatively close. Certainly no landslides or anything like that. Now, if we look at the Victorian state election results, though, just before we went to air, so I did this as I was doing my notes just an hour or so ago, it was 52 to 25 with 7 seats still to call. Okay, so I'm not sure you can see the time here. I printed this off at 6:19 p.m. 52 to 25. It's more than double. More than double. How can it be so far out of whack? So, like I always at least try to do, I'm not sure that I always succeed, but let's try and put this into some form of context. Okay, we know that basically every business owner in this state hates Daniel Andrews. Many business owners in other states hate Daniel Andrews as well. Okay, and of course those people would never vote for him. We also know that there is a lot of other people that aren't necessarily business owners that all hate Daniel Andrews and would never vote for him. Now, we also know that whilst there was, of course, a lot of compliance during COVID with the mask wearing and people going out and getting jabbed and all the rest of it, COVID also created one of the biggest awakenings of people in our entire history. Okay, more people are now waking up to the truth. More people are now seeing what's really going on. More people are now, learning about their rights and standing their ground and fighting back than ever before. Okay, as a few very quick examples, you can look at just how many people attended protests over the last 2 years that had never gone to a protest in their life. Okay, look at the number of people that attended our live events this year. Okay, our events were bigger in every single city that we went to than they have ever been before. We can see what people like Morgan Jonas did with the creation of his Freedom Party in less than 12 months with 75 candidates, okay, one in almost every electorate. Now that simply hasn't been done before that quickly, okay, and the only reason it was possible, the only reason it happened now is because so many people are completely fed up with the current system and they're desperately looking for change and they're looking for other viable options. So, keeping that in mind, we can also go back and look at what happened in those federal elections with the rise of the so-called teal votes. Okay, so it makes absolute perfect sense, at least to me, okay, that in Victoria, okay, the state election should have been the closest election ever, with more alternative independent votes than ever before. But that simply was not reflected in the results. So, what happened? Are Victorians completely brainwashed? Is there some weird form of, Stockholm syndrome going on here, where people in Victoria have some, strange attachment to their captor? Okay, someone sent this through today, and it's just like, that kind of, Melbourne syndrome, and, they all love Dan. Is this really what's going on, though? Or is there something else maybe happening? Now, I want to make this crystal clear, okay? I would never, ever suggest that the election was rigged, okay, in any way, because, of course, we know that our government loves us. Our governments genuinely care about us, and, of course, they want the best for us, okay? And most importantly all, of course, we live in a completely free democracy. No, I can't believe I got through all of that without joking either, but anyway, we got there. So let's just contemplate for one moment that that wasn't the case, though. Okay, if, and this is just a huge if, okay, if you were going to rig an election, wouldn't you make it really, really close so it didn't look like it was rigged? I mean, that would seem like the obvious choice to me anyway, okay? But here's the problem. What if you weren't sure, okay? What if you didn't actually know how upset people really were and how many people were really upset? So if, and again, huge, huge if here, but if you were going to go to all the trouble and all the hassle, because I can't imagine it's an easy thing, if you're going to go to all that trouble and all that hassle of rigging an election, and again, certainly not suggesting that's what's happened here, I'm just asking the question, wouldn't you want to make sure that you won? I mean, it'd be pretty stupid to go all that trouble, all that hassle and still lose. So wouldn't you want to make sure that you won? Wouldn't you want that to be a comprehensive, I don't know, maybe even a landslide victory? Okay, I mean, I don't know. I've never been involved in rigging anything. Okay, so I can't say what someone might or might not do. I'm really, again, just spitballing here and just, throwing some ideas out. Because once again, as I've said more times than I can count on these videos, something just doesn't add up. Okay, these should have been the closest elections ever. We should have seen more independent votes. We should have seen more teal votes. We should have seen more votes for these, outside of the major parties, okay? And it just didn't happen. Now, again, I want to make this clear. As I said at the start, I really can't say too much on this video, but please rest assured that we will have a lot more to say on Tuesday night's radio show, which is, of course, completely uncensored and does, of course, go for a full 2 hours. So if you want to know, A, what our true thoughts are on the election, and B, most importantly, what people can do about it, please be sure to listen in on Tuesday night. That's 8:30 p.m. Of course, that's Melbourne time. And just click on the big black Listen Live button on the radio show page on our website, and hopefully our team are putting a link in the description to that for you now. Now, the other thing that we will, of course, be talking about again on Tuesday night show is, of course, some more information on that director ID. Now, of course, we have covered a heap of information on the last two video updates that I've done. So please, if you or someone that you know has not watched those videos yet, you can find them on our BitChute channel, also under the videos tab on our Facebook page. And again, we do ask you, please share these around as far and as widely as you can, because we're still getting bombarded with emails about this same topic every day. So clearly there's still a lot of people out there that haven't yet seen those videos. So we do need your help to get that message out there. Now, also on that point, important reminder, because we are still getting people asking questions about that, we have uploaded that offline director ID application form. Okay, at present, the only way to apply for the director ID is to do it online. If you download the form, it's for people living outside of Australia, because of course this form they have removed from the website. So again, please, we ask you all, do to them what they do to us, and just write a simple letter. It doesn't need to be anything long-winded. Just a very simple letter to the ATO and the ABRS and saying, why did you remove this form from your website? Why are you making it more difficult for people to apply for the director ID, which is what you want them to do? Okay, rather than making it easier, and let's bombard them with these questions. So again, that form has been uploaded to the files section on our Facebook page, or if you go right down to the very bottom of our fines page, so it's just the Know Your Rights group website, and then click on fines, and again, hopefully our staff are putting a link in the description for you now. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see a link where you can download that offline form. Now, of course, this is only for people who are still, for whatever reason, concerned about getting a fine for not applying for this director ID, despite all of the information that we've shared, okay, on how simple those fines are to challenge. Of course, our recommendation is you do not need to do anything. There is no lawful obligation. They cannot make you apply for something that you don't want. And of course, if you're an existing director, it was never made part of when you first became a director, so they can't then impose an additional obligation upon you without your consent. And that, of course, is a key point. But again, watch those other two videos if you want more information on that. Now, I've explained before many times about that tried, tested, proven Aussie speeding fines three-step process, which is perfect for challenging all types of fines. I'm not going to go through it again. There's plenty of videos out there explaining that. But again, if you do want to know how to challenge those failure to apply fines, or any other fines for that matter, please go and watch those videos when you get a chance. Now, what I will say though is this, okay? It's not all doom and gloom. Okay, some people are freaking out and they're saying that, you know, now that Andrews has been voted back in, they're going to leave the state, they're going to go to another state, okay, because they're worried about, you know, what he might do next. Look what he did over COVID, what's he going to do now? So again, let me give you a little bit of context just to consider. And again, these are just ideas. Try them on like a suit. If you like them, they fit, great. If they don't, you're more than welcome to just discard them. So firstly, and I feel a little bit like my parents trying to, get a point through to me when I say this. But it certainly appears as though Dan Andrews is actually a lot more scared of us than we are of him. Now, why do I say that? Because, as I've explained on an earlier video this year, Daniel Andrews did not make any appearance at the Grand Prix at the start of the year. He didn't turn up to the AFL Grand Final. He didn't even go to Shane Warne's memorial. And then just this week, just a few days ago in fact, we saw him show how absolutely scared of us all he really is, because he voted outside of his own electorate the day before Election Day. I mean, seriously, why would someone who has genuinely won an election by a landslide do that if something else wasn't going on. Okay, he is clearly very, very scared of being lynched because he knows how many people hate him. Okay, now here's the other factor to keep in mind. Okay, we have the law on our side. Okay, remember when good old Andrew signed up for that Belt and Road agreement? But what happened? You see, enough people, okay, knew about the law, they complained about that, and ScoMo was forced to rip up that agreement because he admitted that it was unconstitutional. Okay? So now more than ever, it's so important for people to understand their rights, okay, and hold these people to account. Yes, of course, absolutely. It's, incredibly frustrating, that Andrews was seemingly voted back in, but he still has to comply with the law. Again, just look at how many people here are having their COVID fines withdrawn because the courts know that they were always unlawful. Look at how many people have taken action against the police for unlawful assault or deprivation of liberty after, attending some of the many, many protests and being arrested or whatever else it was. And these people are receiving significant payouts because it was always unlawful. So yes, Dan Andrews can do certain things, but when people stand up, when they know the law and they know their rights, and they push back and they fight back and they stand their ground and they hold these people to account, they're actually winning. These fines are being thrown out. People are winning payouts. Okay, so he knows that he still has to comply with the law. Okay, so please, okay, let's keep things in perspective. Okay, let's not freak out, don't run away, okay, learn about your rights and how to stand up for them. And of course, the best place to start that is with our ebook, The Essential Step-by-Step Manual for Understanding and Exercising Your Rights. Okay, there's a description in the link to this video, so please, if you don't yet have that, make sure you grab it, because the more people that know their rights, the more people that know the law, okay, the quicker and easier it is to hold these people to account. Okay, and just a little bit of feedback. I don't bother putting them on, when we do the testimonials, because everyone likes to hear about a win. But I get so many emails from people, so many comments online and the rest of it. They go, wow, your books are, fascinating reading. I can't believe I never knew this stuff before. I can't believe we were lied to and deceived all this time. I didn't know the law could be, so much fun and, and entertaining, because of course, we try and make it a bit lighthearted and have a little bit of fun in the book as well. So, it's not a hard slog by any means. Okay. This book, and I know the other books that we recommend as well, they've been written for a teenager. Okay, so anyone can read this and get a really good understanding of the law very, very quickly and easily. So please make sure you grab those if you haven't already. Now, for some more good news, because yes, there absolutely is some, as most of you watching this video would know, we have, of course, been talking about the importance of using cash at every opportunity for a very, very long time now. And finally, it seems like people are starting to take notice, and more importantly, they're starting to take action. So here is a very important article, and I suggest you have a quick look at it. Just the first bit is it contains the vital information, and it says, so that the article's entitled "Banknote Demand Rising as Aussies Hoard Cash." Demand for banknotes is rising as more Australians keep cash on hand for precautionary reasons rather than in the bank. This is one of the key trends identified by the Reserve Bank of Australia in its 2021-2022 annual report published late last week. Fewer banknotes were sent back to the RBA in the year, marking the lowest value of returns in 5 years and leaving about 2 billion banknotes in circulation. At the same time, the value of banknotes in circulation rose by 7.2% to 102.3 billion over the year to June 30. The growth in banknote demand was mostly driven by the higher denominations, highlighting a desire to hold cash for precautionary or store of wealth purposes, the RBA said. Cash is increasingly being used for such purposes rather than for transactions. Conversely, the role of cash usage in the community has changed since the coronavirus pandemic, when due to health concerns, almost every physical transaction was made by tapping debit or credit cards. So this is fantastic news, and congratulations to everyone who's played a part in that article coming out. Okay, again, we urge you, use cash at every opportunity. Okay, pay all your bills in cash, use it to make all your purchases, and again, if you have any money in the bank, okay, I strongly suggest you look at taking it out, or at least a large portion of it out. Okay, don't forget those bail-in laws, okay, that were passed not so long ago. They don't tend to pass laws for no reason. Okay, they pass laws because they preempt what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so your money is not safe in the banks. Okay, what are you getting now? 1 or 2% interest per year? So there's no reward, there's no benefit to keep cash in the banks. But there's certainly a lot of downside. There's certainly a lot of potential detriment. Okay, so take some cash out, bury it in your backyard, put it in a shoebox, whatever you like. You know, convert some to gold or silver if you want to have something a little bit more tangible. But yeah, let's keep using cash at every opportunity, and let's see more and more of these articles coming out. Because of course, as we say, when people start using cash, they have to pull back on this push towards a cashless society. If everyone's using cash, they know they're not going to get away with it. Okay, so this is the beauty. They can come up with whatever laws they want. Okay, but if people don't, follow them, okay, there's not much that they can do. Okay, so let's please continue this trend, and remember, there's many, many more of us than they are of them. Okay, so they can come up with whatever agendas, okay, they like, but when we, the people, keep pushing back and blocking them, as I just said, okay, there's very little they can do. They can't force us. Okay, so we, the people, have the power. The example I give at the live events, if you've ever gone out camping and you've been bitten on the toe by a bull ant, like it hurts as hell, and you stomp to get the bull ant. Okay, but if you've ever kicked over accidentally a bull ant nest and you've got like 1,000 bull ants coming for you, you're the one who hightails and runs. Okay, this is the power that we, the people, have over them. When 1 or 2 people try and put their head up there, they like to try and squash those people. But when hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people all say, no, I'm not going to wear a mask, no, I'm not going to get a jab, yes, I'm going to keep using cash. When everyone starts doing that, okay, they're the ones that have to turn tail and run. Okay, we have that power. Okay, now speaking of people waking up and taking action, it does also seem like people are finally starting to understand the true number of adverse reactions towards these so-called COVID-19 vaccines. Okay, now we've covered a number of articles on some recent radio shows that go into a lot more depth. Again, I can't mention those here because of the good old fact checkers, but please listen to those radio shows if you missed them. What we can do, of course, though, is go through the official government figures without drawing the ire of the good old Facebook fact checkers. So, as always, we'll start off with the trusted government source, the good old TGA. So this is the COVID vaccine safety report from the 17th of November. So that's from last week. As always, the usual spiel. We're carefully monitoring and reviewing reports of myocarditis, pericarditis, thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, Guillain-Barré syndrome, immune thrombocytopenia. Why are they closely monitoring those things if they're really not a big deal? Because, of course, they are. Myocarditis is a known but very rare side effect, but then in the next line they say to the 13th of November 2022, the TGA has received 706 reports which have been assessed as likely to be of myocarditis. 700 reports of a very severe, side effect, myocarditis, 700 reports in 18 months. And yet they're still pushing for people to take this stuff. It's insane. But then, of course, the total adverse event reports following immunisation to the 13th of November 2022, 136,805. So that's what the TGA is reporting. Now, of course, we look at the Ausvax safety data, and we see some very, very different numbers. So, as you can see, they've handed out 6.5 million surveys, and 44.2% of those wrote back and said that they had experienced at least at least one adverse reaction. That's 2.9 million. Okay, the TGA is reporting 136,000, yet Ausvax is reporting 2.9 million adverse reactions. At least one. Some of them might have had 2 or 3 or 4. Okay? Now, again, I say this all the time, but I know some people are still new to some of these videos. These are just the short-term reaction numbers, okay? Because, of course, that's all they can report on, because there have been no long-term studies and no long-term tests, so we have no idea what the long-term adverse reaction numbers could be, okay? The figures from, 3, 5, 10 years, for example, okay? Because the thing was all just rushed straight to market. All right. Now, we can, however, see the significant rise in COVID case numbers, the number of hospitalisations, and the number of COVID-related deaths, at least here in Australia, I can't speak for any other country, since these vaccines were rolled out. So when you look at those numbers, all of those increases since vaccines came out, compared to the reported number of adverse reactions, it's pretty obvious why more and more people are saying enough is enough, and they're refusing to line up for any of these booster shots or anything like that. Okay, so finally I will do what I always do, and that's finish off with some of the latest memes to really get people thinking. Of course, this one is very apt given what's happened yesterday, and what it says there: it's not the people who vote that count, it's the people who count the votes. Good old Joseph Stalin. And again, not that I'm recommending this in any way, shape or form, I'm suggesting that you don't, but of course I'm sure some people will have a little bit of a laugh at that. But as I said, let's not overreact, let's stand our ground, and please make sure you listen on the Tuesday to see some options. And just remember, no matter how bad things are, they could always be worse. Okay, I think that's a fantastic one. As it says there, as bad as things are, it could be worse. You could be vaccinated. So speaking of which, this is a great one. This is an Instagram post in regards to Big Pharma and those jabs, and it says, what happens if Big Pharma makes a mistake with a rushed vaccine that has long-term consequences? Just asking for 8 billion friends. And then this one again is very, very important. No matter who's been voted in, no matter what state you're in, this applies to everybody. So please keep this in mind because it is a very, very important distinction. As it says, legal or lawful have nothing to do with right or wrong. Racial segregation was legal, but it was wrong. Slavery was legal, but it was wrong. The Queen issuing permits to kill Aboriginals was legal, but it was wrong. Okay? Adultery is not illegal, but clearly most people would agree that it's wrong. So there's many, many examples in life where just because something is legal or lawful doesn't make it right. And that's why we need to stand our ground when we see these things happening and keep holding that line and pushing back wherever possible. So I'm going to leave things there for tonight. As always, I do urge you to make use of all of the different resources that are available to you to please get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. Okay, we've got a ton of completely free information on our website that you can go and access, especially on that COVID and vaccinations page. All these videos, again, completely free to watch. You'll find them on our BitChute channel and the videos tab on our Facebook page. Our radio shows, again, completely free to listen to. You don't have to be a member or anything. Live on a Tuesday night between 8 and 10 p.m. Okay. Now, if you do want to join up as a podcast member to listen to all of the previous podcasts that we've done, please keep in mind it's less than a cup of coffee a week. It's less than $5 a week to join up as a member. And in case anyone's missed it, we do have Stripe available. I know a lot of people got up in arms about PayPal and they cancelled all their PayPal accounts. And yes, we've done a video explaining all that, but I'm not going to get into that now. But again, if you're worried about PayPal for whatever reason, you can join up as a podcast member. And you can, of course, get any of our products online using Stripe to process your credit card. You don't have to use PayPal. And of course, if you do want any of those products, we do, of course, have our Know Your Rights book, which I mentioned before. We do also recommend, as I said, that Aussie speeding fines book if you're worried about any fines. And we do know a lot of people are struggling financially, so please stop throwing good money after bad at those unsecured loans, the credit cards, personal loans, things like that. You can use that tried, tested and proven 4-step process from that Bank Secrets Revealed book to have those completely cleared and written off. You can get all these separately. There should be links in the description. You can get them all together as part of the combo pack. You do, of course, get our free Know Your Rights shopping tote bag included at no extra charge. Don't forget, we do have our caps now. Things are starting to warm up. There is a little bit of sunshine around in a few places now, so please make sure you grab your Know Your Rights cap. Help spread the word, spread the message, and of course it's a great way to meet like-minded people. They notice the logo, they'll start up a chat. It's a really great opportunity. Of course, our live events are finished for the year, but if you missed those or if you want a refresher on the content that we covered, please make sure you get that home study course. It's a complete recording of one of our 2.5-day live events. 3 custom-made workbooks with spaces to write notes from all of the presentations. There's 17 DVDs. There's a CD with all the documents that we use from beginner right through to advanced information. And of course, you get to do it in the comfort of your own home. Pause, rewind, fast forward. Brilliant product to consider, given that Christmas is only 4 weeks away. Grab that now, and when you've got a little bit of time over the upcoming holiday period, you can go through the sections that are of most interest to you. And of course, any of our products are a fantastic gift for somebody for Christmas as well. Rather than a bottle of wine that's going to be gone in 5 minutes or something like that, get something that that's going to last, that they're going to really, really appreciate. So I'm going to leave things there. We are back, of course, on Tuesday night for our radio show. Otherwise, our next live video will be Thursday night. Until then, have a fantastic week, everyone. Take care.